So we are in Creede, Colorado, and one of the popular things to do here is called the Bachelor Loop, which is a 17-mile loop through some historic mining sites. There's 16 points of interest, and we're going to try and show you what we can on it. We bought a guidebook to help us understand everything, and we're going to take you along with us.
So we're just getting started, and already just coming around the first few corners there's just so many relics from mining just dotting the hillside headed up this way that I've never seen anything quite like this, and it's pretty impressive already.
So one of the first things you come across that you can't miss is the ore house and chutes for the Commodore mine. It's pretty impressive that such a large structure was built.
Stop number 3 is Black Pitch, which is this hill up here behind me, and it's the reason that in modern times they actually recommend if you've got a two-wheel drive car to go in the reverse direction, because this hill is pretty steep and has some loose gravel. Back in mining days, it was actually a dangerous downhill for wagons that were loaded down, would sometimes break an axle and push horses and wagons off the edge.
So stop number 4 is the Weaver Townsite, basically a remnant of an old Colorado ghost town named Weaver. In the ghost town, we found a fall Colorado tree, the wild raspberry bush.
Number 5 is the Amethyst Mine. The lower buildings here are the Amethyst Mine. There are actually some buildings you can see up above that are part of the Last Chance Mine, and these are the biggest silver producing mines in the area that really fueled the mining boom in the late 1800s in Creede.
So number 6 is the upper junction of East Willow Creek. It's basically where a 4x4 road splits off, which is the upper part of a loop that you could have started at the bottom. Or there's also a little hike here you can do. So it's one of the less exciting points on the loop, I would say.
Number 7 is the Midwest Mine that actually operated up into the 70s. There's a couple of buildings left that you can look at. It's also a good place to note that there's some signs at a few sites along the way do have informational signs. It's different information than what's in the guide that we picked up. The person at the visitor center that we talked to said they're put together by 2 different groups of people, so with the guide and the signs you can actually get a good variety of information.
So now we are at number 9, which is Allen's Crossing. You may have noticed we did not have a number 8 because we did not see the number 8 sign. And from the guidebook, it's just an intersection of off 4x4 roads that go to private property. So it's interesting that it's even on the route. So I don't think we missed anything there. Number 9 is, there's a beaver pond right over there. So it's kind of like a place to fish, maybe catch some wildlife. There's rumors there's moose around. And so 9 is just kind of a place to stop and look around.
So we're at number 10, which is the Equity Mine, which was open both in the early 1900s and then as recently as 20 years ago. But the price of silver just isn't high enough to be worth it at this point, so it is closed currently. Other cool things here, there's not a lot of buildings, and so it's an extra, it's probably going to be like 4 miles out and back on a road that's a little rougher than the rest of the loop, so you could choose whether you really want to come out here or not. Something that was really nice is that there were some really pretty beaver ponds along the way and some beaver dams and flowers out here, and we're at 11,000 feet. It's definitely the high country of Colorado, and it's gorgeous.
So this is stop number 11. There's no sign that we could find, but this was the Park Regent mine. It had a shaft that was 1,500 feet, and all that's left of it is this hole in the ground.
Mine. Have you guys been here before? No? Alright, well cool. We'll get y'all parked real fast, so we'll let y'all get out, take a look at some of the history up here, tell you a little bit about it as well. Would you guys want to do an underground mine tour? Takes you into the mine that way. Would you guys want to do it?
Three minerals. The first one is amethyst, the second one is agate. 75% of the time is sulfur, 60% of the time is manganese.
Along the Bachelor Loop, there is a stop at 11.5, which is the Last Chance Mine, and you can take a tour we took a 45-minute tour, but there are tours up to 4 hours, and you can see different things in the mine. The tour we took was really worthwhile and really enjoyable. There's also some museums, great view of the valley, and a lot of rocks. We're at Site 12, which back in the silver mining heyday in this area, the late 1900s, was the town of Bachelor, which was a town of 1,200 people. I think it was pretty wild and crazy as well in the heyday, and now it's just an empty field.
So this is point number 13. It's just a 4x4 loop access, and there's other outdoor rec stuff you can do if you have the means to get out there. So there's really not a point of interest on here, so this is what it is. Okay, so this is point number 14, which is the Bulldog mine, a mine that was opened much later, I think the 1960s, and in the 1970s it was the most productive silver mine in the United States. And then it was shut down, but now it's back in 2016 and operating today. So modern mining is still happening here in Creede, Colorado.
Something that we learned that's interesting geologically is that the town of Creede actually sits in the bowl of a large caldera of a volcano from millions and millions of years ago, and so there's mountains on pretty much all sides, and it's actually the reason that there is such pure silver found here.
So here we are at stop number 15, which is the Creede Cemetery. We just did some poking around there. It's pretty fascinating to see all the different styles of gravestones and the way people memorialize the dead. It's got a history from the start of the town up to current stuff, so it's definitely worth stopping by. So we're at stop number 16, which is the final stop of the Bachelor Loop. It's the place where Bob Ford, the slayer of Jesse James, was once buried. They say once buried because his body has since been moved to Missouri.
So as Daryl mentioned, this is the last stop, and all the guidebooks and everything says that you can do this loop in about an hour, which I think is accurate. If you're going to drive, maybe stop a few times and get out of the car to look around. We took a lot longer than that, which is because we got out, we were shooting video, we were poking around and looking at things and just really taking our time, and so it took us quite a bit longer than that.
Yeah, and it's recommended. Like, we started at the visitor center. That's where we picked up the guidebook that kind of shows all the points of the route, and then we also went to the underground mining museum first, and that kind of gave us an understanding of the mining industry, so which it helped on the tour, since the tour was all about mining sites.
So really, the Bachelor Loop, it was a great way to see some of the mining history in the area. There's so much mining here that there are things to see all over the place, and so this really just scratches the surface and lets you know that it's a great place to explore.
Yeah, so if you find yourself in Creede, we highly recommend the Bachelor Loop. It's fun.
Absolutely. So until next time.
Enjoy your travels.